Hey everyone, welcome to the 10K in 30 Day live weekly webinar. I am your host, Vanessa Simpkins from TakeYourPowerBackNow.com. And every week right here on this webinar, we talk about money, we talk about manifesting, marketing, and how to help you grow your coaching business. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about manifesting. We have an amazing guest lined up for you, and we're talking about how to become irresistibly magnetic to attract your soulmate. And we have an amazing Hawaiian goddess here of love today. I'm so excited to share all of her wisdom with you. And just know that you are in the right place if you're a coach, consultant, healer, speaker, expert, and you want to have more of a consistent income. If you want to be better with your manifesting, you're in the right place. Whether you're a seasoned business owner or you're new to business, you're in the right place. Cannot wait to share with you all of the goodies that we have. I want to make sure that you can all hear me really quick before we get started, and then I'm going to introduce our guest. So go ahead and type in the chat box your name and where you're from. That'll let me know that all this amazing technology works, and we're going to jump right into our training. So your name and where you're from in the chat box. While you're doing that, I'm going to welcome Kala Koss. Welcome to the call today.
Yay, Vanessa. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited. I am super excited that you're here because I know you're a powerhouse. You're the real deal. This woman is the real deal. She is a Hawaiian goddess, and she's been not her first pony ride. She's been doing this work for a long time. So let me introduce her properly. Kala H. Koss, PhD. She's the CEO of the Empowerment Academy and the creator of the Charismatic Woman, How to Awaken Your Hidden Power for Love and Riches. And she's a visionary author, teacher. For the last 30 years, she's helped thousands of women globally to master the inner game of charisma, cash flow, and confidence. Her teachings have been endorsed by some of the top leaders such as Mark Victor Hansen, best-selling co-author of The Chicken Soup for the Soul, multimillionaire best-selling author T. Harv Eker from Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and Robert Allen, best-selling author of The 1 Minute Millionaire, just to name a few. She's also the owner of a six-figure business. She lives on Oahu in Hawaii, where she happily lives with her beloved husband. Welcome, Kala.
Yeah. I'm here on Oahu, and it's a gorgeous day. It's hot, it's sunny, and Vanessa, you and I have, go back and forth to Hawaii while I live here, and you were living there, and you still come back and forth. And, Hawaii is in our hearts. If it's not in our heritage, it's in our hearts, and it's very special to us. Those of you in the audience who don't really know me, I am an international author of 2 books, and this is my latest book, The 7 Lost Secrets of Ecstasy and Success. And stay on with us till the end of the webinar, because I want to show you how you can get this book, The 7 Lost Secrets. We'll be talking about 3 of them today, and there's 7. And there's some extra special gifts too that I want to share with you at the end. So do stay on till the end. I'm looking forward to our time together. So Vanessa, I think I'll take it away and maybe start screen sharing.
Yeah, go for it. I'm just saying hi to everyone. Welcome, Christine, Galit, Alexander, Deb, a bunch of people here joining us. Great that you're here. Yeah. And before you take over, Kala, I just want to invite everyone to really participate, right? To really be here. You've taken the time. You could be 10,000 other places. You've decided to show up here. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of the both of us. Ask lots of questions. Type them into the chat room, and I'll be manning that. From time to time I might jump in. So please do, show up and play full on, participate. You're going to get the most out of this training. Kala is an expert, and she is a rock star. So with that, rock on, Kala. Floor is yours.
I love it, Vanessa. Thank you. Okay, let's see. We're going to go to screen share. Just going to see here. Okay, just 1 second. Here we are. All right. All right. So I just feel so blessed to be on the Hawaiian Islands, and there is a word that we use a lot around here, and those of you that have been here, that word is aloha, and it means hello, it means goodbye, it means love, but there's also another translation for the word. There's actually several translations, and that's the way it is with a lot of words in the Hawaiian language. So the other translation is the joyful sharing of life energy in the present moment. And I would like to share my life energy with you, and I'd like you to share your life energy with me. So I'm going to shout aloha, and I want you to shout back. All right, get out of your comfort zone. So here we go. Aloha.
Aloha.
Yay! Yes, I could hear that crackling over the airwaves there. So I'm going to be sharing how I was introduced to an ancient Hawaiian manifestation tradition that brought me the love of my life and a lot of wonderful miracles in my career and in my life. And the shamans of this tradition followed the way of the adventurer, which is it's a path based on love and cooperation and peace. And you know, Vanessa, you have felt the Aloha spirit here on the islands, and there's so much fear and confusion and pain going on in the world today that healing power of love, that's the spirit of Aloha, it's needed more than ever. And in the Empowerment Academy, we've started an Aloha movement that's committed to making this a better world. And I hope you're going to join us in this and join our community. Now, this webinar is Boost Your Charisma, Become Irresistibly Magnetic to Your Soulmate. And I'm glad you took the time to be with me here today. I'm going to break a rule. The rule is that people say you should never tell your age, because when you tell your age, then people have a different idea about you. They label you and they put you into a different slot. But I'm going to break this rule, and I'm going to tell you that this picture was taken on my 60th birthday 3.5 years ago. And people wonder how I can be so young looking. Well,
I told you she's a real goddess.
I love it, Vanessa. Thank you. Well, I'm telling you this for a reason, because it does have to do with the secrets that I teach. There's even a method that, reverses aging, and there's research on it. But most importantly, I want you to know that I met the love of my life in 2010. And we were friends for 9 months before we had our first date. And we exchanged our marriage vows here on Oahu in December 2014. That's only like 1.5 years ago. And this is my first marriage. So it's never too late to be with your beloved life partner. All right. And I do want to say that I've been in relationship with the most wonderful men. I really have. I still love and honor them all. It's just that there was still something missing. And that's what I found in my relationship with Mark, my husband. So if that's what you're looking for, don't ever give up. Okay. And I showed you, we need to, we all need to encourage each other, and especially the women who are older and are going, well, all the great men are taken and I'll never find one, blah, blah, blah. So that's not true. And we'll talk about that today. So again, you saw the 7 Lost Secrets of Ecstasy and Success that I showed you. The ebook I'd like to give you at the end of the webinar, show you how to get that. And I've got a great magnetic tool kit that I also want to give you. So, so stay on, and you won't want to miss this. And we'll also be answering questions at the end. So I want to know if this is the right webinar for you. If you're fed up with fearing that you'll end up unhappy, alone, and unloved, or fed up having the same feelings and experiences of being let down romantically over and over and over, or you're having a sinking feeling that no matter what you do, you can't get what you want, or, if you're fed up with taking care of everybody else while no one takes care of you, if any of those apply to you, would you please type in the chat box which one it is and a comment about it?
Well, while people are doing that, I can tell you that, before I met my soulmate, I struggled with every single one of those. And I can tell you, maybe some people are thinking, well, Vanessa, we're talking about manifesting love, but what does this have to do about my business? And I'll share, a vulnerable share. But before I met my boyfriend, my partner, Alex, I had a business that was successful, but I wasn't happy. I was like, why am I doing all this work? And it's all for nothing if I'm alone. And I struggle with every single one of those. And I actually had a big kind of fit with God. I was like, you better bring my dude or I don't work for you anymore. I was so mad. And I really, I was reading all these and I was like, yep, check for all of those. So
wow.
Let us know, you guys, in the chat box, do you struggle with feeling with any of these ones?
And often then what happens is, women can get, they try so hard, and then they can get into trying to control everything. And then you get into that place of control and you still don't have the relationship that you want. And, you know, so it's really important to start looking at how you can shift, how you can change. And a lot of times women that work with me, they actually say that they want to improve their business and they want to improve their financial life, because you were talking, Vanessa, about business, because they don't want to be dependent on a mate. They want to be able to stand on their own 2 feet. Mm-hmm. So that's another reason to, you know, to combine. Today we're combining love and money. We're going to be talking about both, but I just want to say also that this webinar is for you if you want to give up the struggle and propel love to you instead of pursue it. And if you want to dissolve inner obstacles that have kept you alone, frustrated, and unfulfilled, if you'd like to be more attractive without changing your personality or your body, how about that? Because women are always so obsessed with their bodies. We're going to be going into that, deep into that today. And if you'd like to know what you really want in a partner and know it's possible, and become more influential, persuasive, and inspiring, and how about access your higher wisdom to create miracles? How about that? Which of these really speaks to you that you'd like to know more about? And you can put that in the chat as well. What if you could feel like this image and these words reflected your life? Wouldn't that be great? Life supports me in every possible way. Imagine having the life you choose with the love of your life and feeling peaceful and grateful and content. And can that really be your reality? Absolutely. And, you know, stay on the session and find out how. You know, you might be wondering, those of you who have never seen or heard me before, wondering, well, who is this woman? What does she do? So I'm going to let you know a little bit more about me, all right? I'm known as an empowerment expert and a manifestation mentor, and I've been a student and a teacher and a trainer of transformation for over 30 years. That, you know, that's why I can say, well, I'm over 60. And I have really been blessed to be a catalyst. I've actually been a catalyst for thousands of men and women to expand their personal magnetism, to attract money and mates and miracles and fulfill their dreams. And just as importantly, I've used the system I teach that you're going to hear about today to manifest my own dreams. I've been featured in magazines and papers internationally. I hosted 2 TV shows in LA back in the day, and you're going to get a kick out of this. Here I am in 1987. We tried to stop the video. It's a bit, you know, blurry and everything. You know, here's the, remember that was the day when you had the big shoulder pads and all that. And this is Charlie Sheen.
Wow.
Charlie Sheen and Bikram Chaudhry, who created hot yoga, right? And this is when Charlie was, I think he had just done Wall Street, and he was doing yoga with Bikram. And this was a pilot that I created in Los Angeles. I had also, just before this, I was an actress. I did a movie in France with Cheech and Chong, and I actually gave birth to Cheech and Chong. They came out with beards and mustaches, and it was hilarious, just hilarious. And you know, it's called The Corsican Brothers. It was their last movie together. And you know what, Vanessa, I got the very biggest kick, because on Cinco de Mayo, on May 5th, just recently, they were here in Honolulu, and we went to see them. They invited my husband and I backstage. We took pictures with them. Of course, they remembered me as their mom, and it was so funny. It was hilarious. It was awesome. So I have been around the block. I'm also an international speaker and trainer, and I have shared speaking engagements with other spiritual teachers like Deepak Chopra. We both spoke on Kauai a few years ago, and I've been fortunate to be an international author with books in North America, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and Poland. And my last book, the one that I talked about earlier, that's the one I'm going to be giving away today. And Mark Victor Hansen, you know, Vanessa, it says here that they sold over 70 million copies. You know, it's 100 million copies that they have sold, and they've actually sold 500 million all over the world.
Wow.
So that's pretty incredible. Mark Victor Hansen gave me this endorsement about my own book. He says, the simple techniques work and they work like magic. Ecstasy and success will definitely help you live your dreams. And then Robert Allen, who wrote The 1 Minute Millionaire and others, he says, ecstasy and success is a quick read, jam-packed with wisdom that will lead you to a greater destiny. I'm really pleased about that they endorsed the book. Now, I was also able to apply the ancient system you're going to be hearing about to receive my doctorate in psychology, but my very favorite manifestation is my beloved husband, Mark and I, because I wanted to manifest the love of my life. And I attracted and married the love of my life using this system, and I call him the wind beneath my wings. And most recently, my husband and I, we're Canadian, and we use the formula to be that, I teach a particular formula, and we used it to live and work here in Hawaii, though we're Canadian. And we are also the new proud co-owners of a successful island business. So I have two careers, actually. I actually don't work in the other one. My husband gets to run that, and I get to be the CEO of the Empowerment Academy. And this is our backyard. You can see Diamond Head in the far distance. Pearl Harbor is to the left. And we're really grateful to be in a very quiet, special healing part of the island. And we offer transformational retreats here for those people who want to come and make deep changes and a massive leap in their lives and their businesses, and who are drawn to experience the spirit of Aloha firsthand. So if this speaks to you, of course, you can contact me. Now, I'm not saying all of this to be boastful, all right? I'm saying this because I have really faced some pretty harsh adversities that I'll be telling you about. And I have known what it's like to live with pain and frustration and financial strain. And I've overcome some big inner hurdles. Life always wasn't so good. And we're going to be talking about that, because if you have gone through adversities or you're going through an adversity now, you know that you can turn it around. It can be turned around. So don't give up hope. Keep that faith intact. Now, on this webinar, you're going to discover the dangerous myth that's costing you love, and you do not have to buy into it. You also discover the paradox of declining female happiness, what charisma really is and why it can change your life. And you'll discover 3 critical keys to boost your animal magnetism and attract your soulmate. And even how charisma can help heal your sexual wounds. So that's what you're going to be discovering on this webinar. And I am going to stop sharing right now, because I'd like to tell you a little bit more about myself. So I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. Okay. There we go. So here I am. So I just want to tell you a little bit more about me, and I'm going to, get down, be a little bit more vulnerable today, because those of you that have heard my story might not have heard my story in the way that I'm going to relate it today, how it relates to love. So, okay, get this. I was born in Saskatchewan on the prairies. So I'm a prairie girl. And here I am in Hawaii, living in Hawaii, but my background is Croatian, born in the prairies, on the prairies of Saskatchewan. And I always felt like there had to be more mystery and awe and wonder in the world. And I just didn't see it in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, where I was born. Anyway, what happened was I ended up in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, going to university. And while I was going to university, I saw an ad in the paper for a position as a flight attendant. So I applied for this position, and I love people and I love traveling, and I got hired, and I was hired right away. And I ended up in Montreal, where you love to be, Vanessa.
I was from Montreal. Yeah, I was born there.
Yeah, and I was trained in Montreal. I haven't been back since, and what a beautiful city. Love it.
Says, I'm from Saskatchewan too.
Love it. Okay. So anyway, I became a flight attendant, and that was really great. And it opened up my, the vistas of my world, because I was, dancing to steel drums in Barbados, and I was in gondolas in Venice and all over. It was pretty amazing. And then one day I was flying on an L-1011, a European flight, coming back to Canada. And it was the L1011 flies on an angle, and I was pulling a 300-pound meal trolley uphill. Those days you had to wear high heels. And so I'm, pulling this meal trolley, and I felt this pinch in my back, this like snap. And I knew something was bad. I knew something was wrong, but we were short of staff and I could not stop working. So the next morning I could not get out of bed. Actually, I got out of bed, but I crawled to the bathroom. And as a result of that injury that happened, I don't know if it was a result of the injury, but later an illness set into my body. Now that illness is called ankylosing spondylitis. All right. And when you see people who are like this, or they're bent over in half, like in half, it affects the joints of the body. And they told me that it was degenerative, it was progressive, there was no known cure. And they said it was, I read about it and it said that it could make you feel like you were 70 years old. And I was 25 at the time. And of course, I spiraled into, pain and fear and frustration. But the part of the story that I don't tell, Vanessa, is I knew that there was something. Well, what happened was I ended up at a seminar. And when I was at this seminar, there was a light bulb went off over my head. And it was all about the connection, the mind-body connection, what happens in our emotions, what happens in our bodies. And I knew that I had called that disease into my body because of certain emotions that were happening at the time. And right then I knew I had the power to change my reality. I had the power to bring my health back. So here's the part that I don't really talk about that's relevant to today. What was going on at the time just before this accident happened? I had left to go to Alsace-Lorraine in Europe. And I wanted to learn conversational French. And I left behind my first love of 7 years. We had been together. He was my first love. I adored him. And he would go back to Saskatchewan in the summers, to help his family out. And I decided I was going to go off to Europe and learn this conversational French. And while I was in France, I got a Dear John letter or a Dear Jenny letter. Okay. And he said that while he was there, in Saskatchewan during that time, a woman had come into his life. And so, I was reading this letter. I don't even remember what else. I don't even remember anything else. I just remember him talking about the fact that this woman came into his life. And it was devastating. I just like immediately went into sobbing, and it was like heartbreaking. It was heart-wrenching for me. I mean, this was the love of my life, and here I was so far away, so far from him and everybody and everything. And what I did was I just protected myself. I just sort of armored myself and used my anger. I had anger about it, and I used my anger to withdraw myself. And I withdrew myself from him. I called him up and I said, okay, get everything out of our place. That's it. I don't want to talk to you anymore. And it was so painful for me to do that, but that's what I did. I just armored myself. And, Vanessa, the weird thing is that when I got that letter, it was just so awful for me. And I tore the letter up. I ripped it up, and I did not have the heart to to throw it away. I actually taped it up later and kept that letter. And a couple of years later, I think I read that letter, I reread that letter. And when I read that letter then, what I saw that he was trying to tell me was he said in the letter, look, if this relationship is important to you, you need to do something about it. And of course, I didn't pay attention to that part. I just shut him out right then and there, that somebody else could come in into his life, that he would even consider that. And the interesting thing is, Vanessa, that he was ready to settle down. He wanted to have a family. He was ready to settle down. I wasn't. Yeah. And of course, he would be open to someone coming in his life. And of course, that he was, saying, well, if you want, come and fight for me then, if this is what you want. And I didn't even realize that. I didn't even realize that. So what happened was I armored myself. I had anger, I had resentment, I had grief, and that went into my body. And when that went into my body, those are emotions that can cause ankylosing spondylitis. Every illness has an emotion, as so many people.
I'm a believer of that. You know,
Yeah.
I studied acupressure for years and worked on people on their bodies and saw the physical impacts of emotion in the physical body. So
Yes.
I have a similar story of coming to what real wisdom and truth is and how we can shift it with the power of our mind, just in a different way. But I'm with you on that. Emotions dramatically, impact your physical body.
Well, and so many people have been influenced by Louise Hay and her book Heal Your Body, which gives you the different emotions that she put together for different illnesses. And it was really interesting because my life changed in such a big way, having to deal with that particular set of circumstances and that illness. And then what happened is, because I knew right then in that incredible weekend, self-development weekend, that I had the power to heal myself. Now, I had a real strong motivation to heal myself. I did not want to, I was on disability. I did not want to be out on the streets on welfare and have no future. And I also had been introduced by a girlfriend to acting, the art of acting. Since I couldn't fly, since I couldn't work, I started taking acting classes and just fell in love with them. And I had this motivation to get better again so I could act and so I could have a future. And I began to work on myself. I used every healing modality. It took me a year. I went back to Air Canada after a year and I said, hey, I'm well again. Send me back to flying. And of course they were like, oh yeah, well, you could be a liability. And so they sent me to three specialists. And those specialists, they checked my body completely. They checked my bloodstream and they could not find a trace of ankylosing spondylitis. And they had to send me back to flying. I had cured myself. So that was a turning point in my life because I realized that I had done that from the inside out. And then I had this prayer out there. Okay, I had done that with my health. How do we do that with love? How do we do that with money? How do we do that with, what we want to bring into our lives? And for me, this thought was like a prayer. And it was not long after that I was introduced to this ancient teaching, a Polynesian teaching, that when I was introduced to it, I went, oh my gosh, this is what I have been looking for. And it completely changed my life. So what happened was I was introduced to this Polynesian knowledge that has been taught for 3,000 years by the masters. And I was like apprenticed and mentored by these different kahunas and master teachers. And they taught me about how we bring reality from the invisible into visible, and how to use the forces, the forces of nature and the powers of the mind to create what we want. And that totally changed my life. So I'm going to go back to screen sharing, but this is the story. We all have stories. We all have turning points. And this is to tell you that, hey, even though you go through something, like I was so heartbroken, but my life opened up in a whole new way. There were gifts that happened, and I learned how to love myself, how to forgive, how to be a co-creator with, for my reality. And it was a gift. And I was not ready to settle down. As you can see, I didn't even get married until a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
so
it's always, the gifts are always there. They're big wake-up calls, but really they're gifts. And it doesn't smell or feel like that when you're in the pile in the middle of it. But looking back,
isn't that amazing? It's true. They're there. So I think you can see my screen again. Yes. And this is Pele, the goddess of fire. And Pele is the volcano goddess. And as I said, I was mentored by several kahunas and master teachers here in Hawaii. And they taught me about those invisible forces And they also encouraged me to adapt that ancient wisdom into a modern system that could be more easily understood for, you know, for everybody, for Westerners. We think a little bit differently. So I did that. And in the process, I discovered really powerful results that occurred when I infused this system with the energy practices of ancient India, because I was introduced to Tantra from ancient India, and I was amazed at the energy practices of Tantra in harmony with the principles and the practices of Hawaii that would create these outstanding results for people. So I call this unique alchemy that I put together magnetic energizing. And it's a system of processes that allows you to boost your magnetism, also known as your charisma, to boost your magnetism and your confidence so that you magnetize to you what you focus on. And the system has produced astonishing results. So the more you hang around me, the more you're going to discover that I make some pretty bold claims. And I do that because I get bold results for my students and clients, both with money and with love. Now, can you see these slides, Vanessa?
Yep.
Good. Okay. So Harv Eker, my work has been endorsed by T. Harv Eker. He's a best-selling author of Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And as I said, many women I work with, they say they don't want to bring in their partners until they get more secure financially, because they don't want to depend on anyone else, especially if a relationship turns sour. So I help women to manifest their financial security as well. And you can see here, as Harv says, that I have this formula and amazing miracles seem to occur. And you might be wondering, you know, why do I focus on helping women boost their charisma? You know, how is that supposed to help them increase their cash flow or help them to attract an ideal mate? Of course, you can understand charisma, how it could help you attract a mate, and how could it help you attract more peace of mind? And I want to answer that in a roundabout way, because I believe the women of the world are on a really unique journey right now. And of course, the men who might be listening today can relate to what I'm going to say from their own unique set of challenges, all right? Studies have come out from research in the past 50 years that women have never been as unhappy as they are now. Isn't this weird? The Paradox of Declining Female Happiness is a study that was published in American Economic Journal, and they found that despite having more opportunities than ever before, women have a lower sense of well-being and life satisfaction. And they have that because they believe that they must do all of these in order to be considered a complete and successful woman. Yeah. I have to get married. I have to have children. I have to look good while doing it. I have to exercise, eat well, wear the right clothes, keep a nice house. Can't we relate to that?
Well, I can tell you, there was a certain time in my life, I think when I hit like 30, I'm 30, maybe when I was 30, 36, I don't know, 35, 34, 35, where it was like, there's something wrong with me. Where is the dude? You know, I should have kids. I should be married. I should shitting all over myself. So yeah, it was a big thing for me.
And so many women are doing that. It's
unnecessarily.
Yeah, so true. And so I believe that, you know, we are at a turning point in our lives right now, and a turning point for the world where we're being called to something greater. And I believe the reason we're less happy, you know, we've had decades of personal work, spiritual growth, and amazing accomplishments, but I believe that we haven't been accessing our true power in a way that allows us to really flourish and thrive. We haven't tapped into the power of our true nature, which is the creative channel for those things that we really deeply yearn for. And I really believe charisma can take us there. So what is charisma? Well, I like what Marianne Williamson says. We need less posturing and more genuine charisma. Charisma was originally a religious term meaning of the spirit or inspired. It's about letting God's light shine through us. It's about a sparkle in people that money can't buy. It's an invisible energy with visible results. And actually, charisma is all about energy. It's about understanding the male active energy of the universe and the female receptive energy of the universe. And the feminine surrendered place in us is receptive. It doesn't do anything. So this spiritualization process in men, as well as in women, it's a feminization process, okay? It's a quieting of the mind. It's a cultivation of personal magnetism. And Vanessa, when you were a kid, did you ever have like a pile of iron shavings and a magnet where you could hold?
Oh, yeah.
You did? Oh, you know what? I wonder if kids do that nowadays. I doubt it.
The kids at the house, I haven't seen them use something like that, but we play with that. It was like back in the day before Barbies. You know, we had like very simple. There's only like Ken and Barbie. There's only 2 Barbies. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
now,
right.
So many things.
Well, you know what? The reason I bring up the magnet is because we used to, you know, you can have a pile of iron shavings, and if you want to arrange them in, you know, really beautiful patterns, you can do one of 2 things. You can use your fingers and try to arrange those tiny pieces, you know, into lines, or you could buy a magnet and hold the magnet up above, which is what we used to do, right? And you'd hold it from above and you'd move it into various patterns. And that magnet, it symbolizes our feminine consciousness. It exerts its power through attraction rather than activity. And so here we have our magnet lady. Well, I believe we're at a time on the planet right now we're being drawn to shift our consciousness towards this feminization process. And often women ask me, aren't some people born with like more charisma than others? And if they're good looking, do they have more charisma than people who are not? You know, there is a myth that charisma is a fundamental inborn quality, that you either have it like Marilyn Monroe or an Elvis Presley, or you don't. And, you know, of course, good looks could have some advantages in being charismatic, but anyone can be highly charismatic without a striking face or a figure, and charisma will actually make you more attractive. There's been a lot of research that shows that charisma is the result of certain nonverbal behaviors. And they can, even in controlled experiments in the laboratory, the researchers were able to raise and lower people's levels of charisma as if they were turning a dial. And I know that, you know, I studied at the Strasberg Institute in New York. That's where Marilyn Monroe studied with Lee Strasberg. And there are stories, Eli Wallach told stories of how she was able to turn her charisma on and off at will. He could be walking with her and nobody would be running for autographs, and he'd say, why is that? And she'd say, well, I just turned Marilyn off for a little bit. And then he said, you mean you can turn her on and off? Okay, show me. And she would turn her on and people would start running to them for autographs. So, you know, you don't have to be outgoing. You don't have to be physically attractive. You won't have to change your personality. It's about adopting a series of specific practices that fit in with your personality that you already have. And they inspire people to see you as charismatic because of the way they feel with you. And when you increase your charisma, you become more memorable. You come across as grounded and inspiring. You know, people want to be around you. You become highly magnetic and can attract your soulmate. And people feel you're authentically present. They feel valued. And not only do you change your life in a big way, in a positive way, but you empower your family, your community, and the planet. That's what I believe. And when your charisma is not available to the world, it costs everyone. So what's the best way to start boosting our charisma? And before I speak about that, I'd like to just uncover a dangerous myth that squelches charisma and it keeps women in anguish and frustration. And then I'm going to share 3 secrets or keys to magnetic energizing that will expand your charisma and causes the miracles that affects our future and the future of a planet. So there is a dangerous myth that we've all been spoon-fed. It's costing us love and money. And the schools, the professional associations, and the media, they teach you that competence and ability and beauty are everything. And the success goes to those who work hard, have the best skills, and have the best looks. All right? And when we believe that competence, skills, and beauty are everything, we begin to compare ourselves to others. We try to be perfect at all costs. And when we perceive that we're not, we shame ourselves with put downs and judgments. And our self-talk becomes all about how we're not good enough. And that affects our internal state. And that affects our life force energy. And this internal war crushes our charisma. You know, so we're told that good fortune goes to those who work hard and have the best skills and the best looks. But hey, let me ask you something. Is this really the way that it works in the world? You know, it isn't the way that it works in the world, because if that was really the answer, there wouldn't be all those women who have less skill than you, who work less and are less attractive, but who are enjoying more good fortune. And the dangerous myth, the true dangerous myth is, and it's costing you love and money, the dangerous myth actually is that the inner world has no power or value, and that only the outer world will bring you what you want. All right? That the inner world has no power or value, and that only the outer world will bring you what you want. But we create from the inside out, just as I did when I created my health again. So here's Harvecker and what he has to say about that. He was interviewing me and he said, 10% or less of your success comes from your tools of what you know. 90% is going to come directly from the inside. He says, this is not the new agey woo stuff. This is the meat and potatoes, and everything else is the gravy. And he says, if you don't understand that, that's why you're not rich. When you really get it, that it comes from the inside, that's when you will get rich. Okay?
Yeah, this is what I teach. It's all inner work. It's not, it has to, your inner work has to be aligned with, you know, with your outer action. When those two things combine, everything takes off. But it does come from inside.
Right. And when you release those inner limits, your outer world changes. You and I know that firsthand. We've experienced firsthand many times. Hey, Vanessa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is real power.
Yeah.
Not dependent on somebody else.
Yeah, you know, it's that old saying, if it's to be, it's up to me. But what that really means is not that you're supposed to handle everything alone and, you know, not delegate things to other people. What it means is, if it's to be, it's up to me. It's from the inside out. It's up to you to change those things. If you want your love life to change, you're going to have to do something different. And It has to come from the inside out, you know, just as it did when I cured myself. And so, you know, here's a case study, for instance. Here's Cindy Brady. So Cindy was my trainer in Canada. She was my fitness trainer, and she was one tough woman. And she did my program, and, you know, and she says, before that, I'd been out of a relationship for 7 years. Mm-hmm. And she says, my life has dramatically changed. And then she said, when I met Brian, it was as though I had been in a black box, sealed tight and squared off with sharp edges. When we came together, there was this incredible opening and softening. Even though I sense a feeling of being complete within myself, this huge space keeps expanding, taking me to deeper levels of love every day. Thank you so much for your wonderful teachings. She changed from the inside out. She was one tough girl, and she just softened. It was beautiful. Now, Peggy wanted a relationship, but she'd been away for so long, you know, been alone for so long, she doubted it could happen. And I encouraged her to do a particular technique. Now, Peggy was very versed in the Hawaiian philosophy and practices already. And so she didn't need much. It just, you know, I gave her this simple technique. And as she was doing it, she began to realize she didn't have space in her life for someone. And it really made her wonder, you know, if she wanted to make space for a man. And when she got clear, she was doing this particular technique, and suddenly she was dating all kinds of guys. And then Matt showed up, her sweetheart, and they are married and they live on Kauai, the most beautiful couple. And so what you have to do is be aware. This is the first key of magnetic energizing. Be aware. What do you need to be aware of? First, you've got to be aware of your thoughts and the feelings that follow those thoughts, because they are a powerful, invisible force for generating or depleting your energy. And in my work with women, I've noticed one of the greatest areas of judgment is around the body. We're going to do something here in a moment around this. So we think of ourselves in comparison to the images we see in the magazines and the ads and the mass media. Often we see that, we think of that. But you know what? That makes us fall short of the way that we'd like to look. And that's so detrimental to us. And I'd like you to type in the chat box, what are some of the things that you've heard women say about their bodies. What are some of the things that you've heard women say about their bodies?
And while we're getting some responses for that, Catherine just wants to say that, Kala, you look great. I'll be 60 this Saturday, and I'm amazed at all the strong, beautiful women in their 50s and older.
Yeah, isn't that awesome? Isn't
Yep.
that awesome? It's because we're taking care of ourselves more than ever, too, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a wonderful thing, and women are awakening to such a degree, and it's reflecting in them. Now, you know what? You might have typed into the chat box, but I also like you to do a little exercise with me just for a moment. Close your eyes just for a moment. All right, just take a deep breath. Okay. Now, think about your body. How do you feel about it? Do you like it? Do you love it? Are you happy with the way you look? What kind of image of your body do you hold in your mind? Are you proud to display your body in public? In private? Naked? What do you say most often about your body to yourself and others? And then see how your body feels as a result of how you tell yourself these things. Just see how it feels and take a deep breath. And then open your eyes, just look around the room. And I'm sorry that I had to go through this so quickly because we really have a lot to cover and I'm kind of rushing through. But do you think that some of the thoughts, the judgments, the criticism that you just noticed about your body might limit your ability to be more charismatic? You can type in the chat, you know, a word or a phrase of how your body feels as a result of telling yourself that. Because your thoughts are going to deplete or expand that powerful animal magnetism that boosts your charisma, because your body is the vehicle for your life force energy. And it's your life force energy that you use to project that animal magnetism. So, yeah, go ahead, Vanessa.
We have some people saying, you know, some of the things are, you know, that they hear themselves saying about their body is I'm too fat or I have too much hair. Some of the things, I'll even be honest, one of the things that I've been telling myself, I was out shopping with my sister recently, and I keep saying I'm plump. Right. So when I lived in the islands, I was like super slender, like holy smokes, skinny little mini. But since moving to California, I've become a little bit more plump. And I keep, when you were running that exercise, I was like, I keep saying it. I'm like, I got to change it to.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely. You're programming your coup. What you're going to hear about in a few minutes is about the 3 aspects of yourself. The subconscious aspect of yourself is the part that you really need to work with as a partner. We all do. And when we tell ourselves certain things, we are programming the coup, KU, the subconscious self, the body, mind, every cell of the body. And we forget, you know, sometimes that we're doing that. Even though we teach this stuff, we forget that we're doing it. And then we program ourselves. So if we were together in person, I would show you a powerful demonstration just by muscle checking, a way of getting information from your coup, from your subconscious self, and you would see how self-criticism weakens you and a compliment given to yourself strengthens you. So you want to remember to compliment yourself. If you've got criticisms or doubts about your body, your sexuality, your skills, your ability, it's going to interfere with your personal magnetism, and it's going to interfere with your ability to attract what you want in your life. So your thoughts and feelings that follow them, they're a powerful invisible force. And in order to become magnetic, you've got to become conscious of your limiting thought patterns about yourself and your body and about love and about attracting a beloved. You know, some women I work with, they have this belief that it's never going to happen for me. And then we find the underlying belief under that. And so even consciously, they're not giving up. You know, they come to me because they want to be with a beloved. But subconsciously, they still believe that it's not possible. And that's why awareness is an important key to creating charisma. You have to be aware of your hidden beliefs that cause you to judge and criticize yourself, and your hidden beliefs about what you can and what you can't have that are keeping love away.
Yep, I agree 1,000%. It's the old decisions that you make. These are very, you know, they're limiting beliefs. they're unconscious. They're things that maybe you've decided, when you were 12 years old or 6 years old or 20 years old that are just not serving you in this department.
Absolutely. So, so important. So the next important key to magnetic energizing is to be free. I'm going to tell you a little story relating to this. Before I met Mark, I'd been out of relationship for 8 years. So I had been living on Kauai, and one day I got a phone call from my parents, and I was told that my father had cancer. I flew back to Canada. He was gone in 2 weeks. My mom and my brother were living together, and my brother was in the advanced stages of ankylosing spondylitis, the disease that I had. And he was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And I knew, talk about a twist of fate. My first twist of fate was, with the airlines and getting that disease. The second twist of fate was what happened when I had to go back to Canada. I knew I had to go back and take care of them. And thank God, Vanessa, that I didn't have a crystal ball that would have shown me that I'd be gone for 11 years, because, I don't know if I could have done it, especially going back to gray, rainy Vancouver, like cold, gray, and rainy for like how many months of the year,
Right.
And, type in the chat box if you're one of the sandwich generation that ended up like in the middle of taking care of your own kids and elderly parents or anything like that. Now, I don't have kids. My husband has 2 sons who I love and adore. But, I ended up at, taking care of my family. And after my brother passed at 49, I was so worn down emotionally. I was so worn down physically from the grief and the stress. And I just finally decided to surrender, be free, let go. I decided to release it all to my amakua. That's the other aspect of yourself, the spirit self. We can call that the amakua. I didn't want to do it all alone anymore. And I wanted to share my life with a spiritual partner. And I had lots of preferences about that partner. And my amakua, we call also the superconscious self, gave me, on Kauai, Vanessa, we call it a download, right? It's so funny. We say that our high self gave us, it gave me a download inspiration. And that was a process to help me bring in what I wanted. And whenever I was discouraged or I needed some faith, I would lay down and I would do this process that I now teach to my clients. And that's how I attracted my husband. I met him at a cafe called the Java Hut, where I usually went to write with my laptop. And one day there he was, the new owner. And Mark had bought the business and we became friends. And because he was so smart, I asked him to mentor me in business. And that's how, we became friends, and we're friends for 9 months before we even dated. So I had to choose freedom. I had to release disbelief. How is someone going to exist who has all this that I'm asking for? But I had to free myself of the concepts of how it would look as well, because Mark has even more than I asked for, which amazes me. But he wasn't anything like anyone I had been with before in looks or mannerisms, whatsoever. And it even took me a while to recognize that he was the man that I'd been praying for, because it doesn't come in your little package, in your box. It's like the great mystery gives it in the way that it's supposed to come. Would you agree with that, Vanessa?
Absolutely. When I manifested Alex, I asked for a long time. I made these lists of the characteristics that I wanted the man to be like, and he had to be tall and he had to be full of hair. And oh my God, Alex showed up and he was like bald, Mr. Clean, bald, and shorter than me. And I didn't care one bit because, of the way he made me feel. So
yeah. And that's the key thing. You want to focus on, how do you feel with this person? So in order to claim your attraction power, you need to release and replace those old thought patterns. Freedom is the second critical key to magnetic energizing. So you have to choose freedom, and freedom's about letting go of what keeps you of being present as well. You want to let go of what keeps you being present, because your presence radiates a power. And it's strongest when you are in the present moment, when you're not thinking about the past or projecting into the future. When you have worries or concerns or criticisms, it changes how you show up. Yep. Like when you're in a snit, for instance, another person can pick up that internal state through your body language in a millisecond. And that lack of presence, they translate it as you do not value them and your time with them. It actually lowers your attractiveness to them. It lowers your charisma. So type into the chat, what's one of your habits? What's one of your moods or attitudes that keeps you from being completely present with someone? And one that you need to release that you can be free of, type it into the chat box. Because we tend to be attracted to those people who have such a powerful energy, that animal magnetism, like Marilyn Monroe, for instance, who I said could turn it on and off at will. She was able to focus her energy. She was able to focus that charisma. And that's the third critical key of charisma, is focus. My Hawaiian teachers taught me that energy flows where attention goes. So wherever you put your attention on a flow, there's, wherever you put your attention, there is going to be a flow of energy. So I'm kind of rapidly going through this because I see I have a lot I want to share, but hopefully
it's not too you shared was that be aware. The second one was be free, and the second one was be focused. And I love
the third one.
Yeah, the first one about being aware is that your body is the vessel of divine energy, and beware of the thoughts that you think about your body, right? Because that'll constrict the flow of energy, of divine energy coming through that you can use to manifest. And the second one was be free. Let it go of what keeps you from being, present with people, because people will feel that. And the third key is be focused, being able to focus that energy. So I think that's great.
Yeah, you want to focus your attention, because where you focus your attention, that's where your energy goes. And that's the one thing you have control of in your life, is where you focus your attention. Yep. So whatever you put your attention on, a flow of energy will go there. Well, when I started putting this out into the public, 30 years ago, people weren't talking about these phrases a lot. And now they're everywhere. It just shows you how we have started to awaken. So I'm going to ask you, are you confident and comfortable with focusing your life force energy, your sexuality outward to include others? Or is it that you don't even pay attention to that? So if you're comfortable about sharing that, you can put it into the chat. So are you confident and comfortable about focusing your life force energy, your sexuality outward to include others? Charisma is when our life force energy, our sexual energy comes shining through, and people can feel that invisible sex energy. So the other thing, though, is that sex and sexuality is one of the most emotionally charged subjects for people in our culture to address, and maybe even more so in other cultures. But you know what? Talking about sex honestly and confessing our deep worries and our fears and our longings about sexuality, it's often not done, even let alone talking about the spiritual aspect of sexuality like Tantra. So it requires courage to explore those dynamics of your sexual energy. It requires courage to work with those dynamics in new ways, all right? Because sexual energy is a potential source of incredible power. It's the energy that gives us life. It's our life force. And my gift, I have a gift, and that gift is to help you vibrate with a sexual, spiritual energy, so you become a magnet for what you want in your life. And Montauk Chia, who is a Taoist master, he says that sexual energy, or Qing Qi in Chinese, is one of the most obvious and powerful types of bioelectric energy. And when that flow of sexual energy is strong and clear, you're going to be at the peak of your physical health. You're going to have abundant energy and strength. And yet, you know what? We sit on that energy. We tend to block off the flow of our sexual energy. And you got to remember, you're the channel through which your sexual energy flows. But it's not going to get any bigger than your expansive thinking about yourself and your expansive, compassionate thinking about sex and sexuality. So if you want to have greater sexual magnetism, you're going to have to be conscious of your self-judgment, your inner critic's monologue, your limiting thoughts, like these, for instance. If you have limiting thoughts about, sex is bad or dirty, I don't like my body, my face, I have to act sexy to get attention, I'm not enough just as I am, I'm not able to attract a soulmate, I'm not worthy. or I'm damaged goods, which just, breaks my heart to think that someone would feel that way. And I know it's a challenging concept when there's negative subconscious focus because of some past abuse that's caused pain or trauma. However, we can reframe that to be the blessing of charisma for healing, because as you focus on your creative life force energy, it's going to bring up all that is not like your true essence, your ecstatic nature, your divine nature. It's going to bring it all up to be healed. So focusing on charisma can start us on the path to finding our gifts because of our own wounds, and then helping others too. You can help people to get past their wounds. So what's one thing you could focus on that would increase your charisma? Type it in the chat. What's one thing you could focus on that would help you to increase your charisma? And here's a tip I'm going to give you. If you start focusing on praise and acknowledgement, if you look for the good and praise it, that is going to help your charisma. All right? You want to look for the good.
Sharing, in the chat that there's a lot of, ideas about, a lot of shame around sexuality, false beliefs about it, not being confident in their sexuality. I think a lot of women struggle with this. So
yeah, and it's so important. It's so important to bring it out, and because you don't get what you want, you get what matches you, right? You have to become a vibrational match to what you're seeking. So the key is it's all about you and the pattern that you're vibrating. And because repetition is the way that the subconscious mind learns to vibrate at a new frequency, you need to find a way to be supported in repeating new habits of thinking, new habits of breathing, new habits of focusing your energy that's going to increase your personal magnetism until that becomes second nature. And that's why I teach a proven, duplicatable 30-day system, because you need to start having a new habit pattern. And I teach that through the Charismatic Woman Mastermind program that, that I guide people through. I guide women through the exact process that I and thousands of others have used, because there have been thousands of men and women that have created miracles, attracted miracles through the formula that I teach. And for just a minute, I'd like to share just a little bit about the ancient psychology of the Hawaiians, just to explain the Polynesian model of you and I as human beings. So this practical psychology of the ancient Hawaiians, there's three aspects of yourself: your conscious, your subconscious, and your superconscious. And we say the lono for conscious, and ku for subconscious, and amakua for superconscious self. And the amakua also has a different meaning for Native Hawaiians here. And they work, when they're working together as a team, that's when you manifest things like immediately. So you want to understand the function, the tools, and the motivation of those aspects so that you can bring reality into being, from the invisible into visible reality. Now, one of the most important things you need to know about the ku, the subconscious self, it goes towards pleasure and away from pain. All right. So I was out of relationship for those 8 years before I met Mark, because, I didn't want to, I had to really surrender. I had to really let go and focus on the benefits of being in a relationship, because the thought or the idea, the concept of going through any kind of painful breakup was too much. My ku didn't want to go there. So you have to focus your ku on the benefits of going into a relationship. And when you're staying in your comfort zone all the time, it's because your ku is sticking with what's familiar and safe. And if you've had past painful relationships, your ku doesn't want to go down that road. But the downside is you would have no relationship, or a mediocre life, or, stagnant finances, if that's part of what you're working on, until you learn to work with your ku to change the habits that have kept you here in that position. So now so there are three keys of magnetizing, of magnetic energizing. But one of the things I brought this in, be confident, because there's three aspects of yourself, but there's also, we draw a dot in the middle of the triangle that has the three aspects. And that dot, we call it kanaloa. And that's when there is absolute and complete confidence. When there is absolutely no doubt, instant manifestation happens, okay? So you want to learn about the aspects of yourself and the tools you can use to be confident. This goes beyond understanding how your brain works or mindset. It's about conscious co-creation with the three aspects of yourself, along with the invisible forces of the universe. And that is a really important part of the system that makes it unique. People don't explain this element of manifestation mastery because they don't know. The three aspects of the self, and that place when you get to the aha feeling, when everything comes together, when all three work in harmony, that's called Kanaloa. So if you want your love life to change and your financial life to change, you got to do something different. So type in the box, are you willing to change to be the most joyous, loved, and loving woman you can be, the most affluent woman you can be? Here's what happens when you learn to work with your coup and get into that state of complete confidence. So Christine felt like, oh, you know, she was going on the wrong date. She had convinced herself that she couldn't have a soulmate. But look what happened. So it's really important. How many of you would like this kind of result? And
it's really important to decide. What you're inviting people to do here is to make a decision. You know, type in the chat box if you're ready for something different. I tell you what, when I decided to be ready for Mr. Right, he showed up. He showed up that very same weekend. And it was with a decision, you know, the decision to be ready. And that's very powerful.
Yes, that's so true. That it's that decision. And you know, how many of you would like this kind of result? And how many of you would feel like you could use some help to get there? And you need to make that decision. You know, put that in the chat box. And just imagine if you could join a community of spiritual change makers and entrepreneurs who have taken the leap. They're learning this invaluable formula to be way ahead of the pack with both love and money. And this is what's happening. The Charismatic Woman Salon. Become irresistibly magnetic to romance and riches. You can join an elite group of women who are ready for a life-changing journey. And in fact, they're not just ready, they're in there doing it. They're experiencing a new expanded vision. They're achieving money and love goals that felt impossible. So what I have done is I've created a world-class mastermind group for success-minded women and a few cool spiritual men, you know, that they apply sometimes, and okay. And I literally walk you through how me and my clients both have used the magnetic energizing formula to attract our soulmates, and also how we created 5-figure-a-month incomes and a freedom-based lifestyle. And then you get to do it too. And this Charismatic Woman Salon, this is not like a hair salon. This is like the kind of salons in Paris where the greatest minds came together, the artists and the financiers and the writers like Hemingway, and they all came together. And that's what this salon is like. And you've heard my story, you've seen all the success stories, so you know what I'm saying can help you. And what I want to do right now is go over exactly what is in the Charismatic Woman Salon Mastermind group. And you get to see if it's right for you. You get to see if you'd like to join us. This is just one part of the membership. This is actually just one small part of the membership where the women learn the manifest money, miracles, and more. It's an intensive. So let me show you what's included. So the Charismatic Woman program is a 5-step 30-day attraction program formula. Become irresistibly magnetic to the love of your life. And you learn the formula to do 10 minutes a day. And to access the Charismatic Woman program, you need to be in the salon. And you receive this hard copy set immediately that guides you through the process at your own pace. I've designed this Charismatic Woman program, and you get 2 CDs of 10 power techniques and meditations, 4 tutorial CDs with women just like you, a 55-page Charismatic System guidebook. I designed it so it's a step-by-step 30-day formula. You begin with the inner road to riches. So that's really important. You begin with the inner road to riches, and then you go into the outer road to riches. So this is part of the 6-month mentoring mastermind. You have one-on-one monthly private belief sculpting sessions with me, weekly group calls with me and the mastermind participants. And this is what's so awesome, is that you learn your own gifts, what your gifts are. and how you use that strength to sharpen your marketing message and reach the audience that you want. And so we have a sacred gifts expert that can show you about your own sacred gifts. We also have a financial expert, because many women have very little awareness about their financial roadmap. So they don't know how to lead the luxurious lifestyle that they want because they don't know how to plan for it financially. And you also have an accountability success coach, because otherwise you're going to default to your old habits. You have a private group support on Facebook, private membership site with videos, audios, and PDFs. And then this is about the outer game of riches. So you learn the inner and the outer game of riches, and you prosper through your sacred gifts. You're going to receive templates and mentoring to apply those gifts and your unique message, to clarify your tribe, release your expertise, create your premium package, set your price, present your offer, elevate your business, charge what you're worth, and get it. And this is one of the ladies in the salon. She's amazing. She's a doctor of traditional naturopathy. She says, my income doubled in 2 weeks through the mentoring. Then she continued. Her business went up 400%. She lost 23 pounds. She is in the salon, and last week she said that she just had the best month that she's ever had, and she's got 3 fabulous guys that are being in touch with her, because she, as a result, she got out of a very toxic 32-year marriage, and now she's out, she's free, and she's excited, and she is dating. So you're going to get the biggest blanket of support that you have ever experienced. And you can see that how the first date soulmate after 29 years, don't give up. Pamela was, married for 28 years. And on her first date, she found her beloved, and they're married and living in New York. So if you're ready, yes. If you're ready, just, if you're really ready to make a big shift, a big change in your love life and your business, you want to make 2016 your most successful year ever, then you can apply to join the salon, because I have a couple of spaces open. Some of the ladies are graduating, and so there's some spaces open. And here's what you do. What you do first is fill in this survey so I can learn more about you and your life and your business goals. We'll take a look at where you are now, what obstacles are in your way, how I can help you fulfill your dream. And it's first come, first serve, because, I'm opening up a few spots. And I just want you to know that because I'm on webinar interviews, doing speaking engagements, I only have that limited space. So my assistant will get back to you once you apply with the survey, loveandriches.com/survey. And we'll set up a time to talk. We'll explore, get clarity about your path. And you could be in the salon by next week and learning the magnetic formula immediately, so you can start attracting miracles from the inside out.
I'm going to tell you, I've tried Kala's system and it works. She is a rock star goddess of love and riches. So a very generous offer here today. Go to loveandriches.com/survey and apply. I've also put that here in the chat box for you guys.
Great. So I'm glad you put it in there in the chat box. So just, just think about it. If you go with your current strategy, will you honestly be any closer to manifesting your dreams and the love of your life? Probably not. And you might be aggravated with yourself for not trying everything possible to attract the love of your life. So make a decision. It's up to you. It's totally up to you about making that decision. Are you ready to move forward? Oh, Vanessa, did you want to go into Q&A?
Sure. Let us know if you have any questions for Kala. Go ahead and type them into the chat box if you have any specific questions for her. And while they're doing that, Kala, why don't you
I'll talk about a little
gift.
I'll talk to them. I'll talk to all of you about the gift. Let's see. Stop sharing. There we are. Yay. Thank you so much for staying through that. I know I had a lot of information, probably more than, and so I was going through it real fast. Thank you so much for staying on. Okay. Now, if you want to receive the PDF of my book, now, how did we decide to do that? That they could message me, I think, through, if you go to,
I have a
I know.
URL for them to just click.
Yeah, you know what we're going to do is if you put yourself on to, I'm going to offer you a free gift, all right? And this is the Magnetic Starter Kit. And in the Magnetic Starter Kit, you're going to have 3 tools for love, prosperity, and peace. So you go to becomemagnetic.com/free-gift. And Vanessa will type it in, becomemagnetic.com/free-gift. Okay. And when you do that, and you get your free gift, what I'll do is I'll see that you did that, and I will send you the PDF to my book. How does that sound?
Very generous. Thank you for sharing that with all the listeners and well, the listeners and the watchers and all of the participants here today on the webinar. You shared a ton of goodies, and your story, just your story in itself is so powerful. It's a powerful example of what happens when we take our power back and when we learn and when we discover how to really exude it, when we really learn how to turn that power on to create the life, the love, the miracles, the money that we want. It's all inside of us. I love that you shared these keys with us today. Be aware, be free, be focused. And I'm super jazzed that you've also shared with the viewers, you know, a way that they can contact you and connect with you if they want to learn more, if they want to, you know, learn more about the salon. I know that you have just phenomenal results with your clients. So I'm so happy and grateful that you took the time, Claude, to share that here with us. How else can people get a hold of you on social media? Where are you at?
Yeah, so definitely I would love it if you go on to Facebook, and you can do facebook.com/Kala, K-A-L-A.H, H like heavenly, H.Kos, K-O-S, or just go search Kala, K-A-L-A-H, Kos, K-O-S. Put a comment there about the webinar. If you enjoyed it today, please make a comment. I would absolutely love that. I also have my fan page, which is /Dr. D-R, capital D-R. And I think it's Dr. Kalakos, capital K-A-L-A-K-O-S. I can't even remember, Vanessa, my own. Yeah, great. You can contact me on Facebook, definitely. I would love that. If you go to Kala at becomemagnetic.com, Kala at becomemagnetic.com, you're going to be able to find my email, and of course /free-gift, and you'll get your magnetic starter kit.
Awesome, Kala. That's great. I've put all that in the chat box. I want to thank you again for joining us, and thank you everyone for tuning in, taking the time here. You could be, I always say, the 10,000 other places, and you chose to be here with us today on the webinar, whether you're here live or you're here watching the replay. You know, I say it every week. I'll say it again. 90% of success is showing up. So congratulations for showing up. Thank you for participating, for all the amazing comments and questions. And of course, for Kala, for our guest, for being here and sharing with us your wisdom about manifesting and attracting your soulmate. I highly recommend you take Kala up on her offer. She is a rock star. Thank you, everyone, for being here. My name is Vanessa Simpkins from TakeYourPowerBackNow.com. And you're welcome, everyone, for the amazing webinar. I see some comments coming in, and I will see you guys right here next week for
Vanessa, you are a rock star and an amazing manifester. Aloha.
Aloha, aloha, everyone.
Aloha.
Bye. Next week.